What's going on, everybody? It's Pete Toll, aka PT Sports 84, bringing you another NBA 2K26 video. Today, I want to kind of backtrack about 2 days to the first NBA 2K26 ratings update. I want to do something different. I've never done this before, um, but I thought it would give a better indication for roster editors just what comes in the ratings updates as far as individual ratings. I want to give a big shout out to Mohamad over at 2kwiz.app. If you don't know what that is a amazing tool. You can go on my um, videos and search 2K You'll see my interview with Mohamad last year. We dove really deep into kind of what the website has. He has a lot of great features, being able to sort not only 2K stats, but real life NBA stats as well, and just kind of how that correlates between each other. Mohamad put a lot of work into his website. He was gracious enough to send me a list of the players that had overall rating differentials and individual rating differentials. So I can see just what is changed in the official updates by exact attribute for each player. So that gives a better indication of just what 2K is changing for guys across the board. Um, and so, huge shout out to him. Make sure you're going over to 2kwiz.app, making sure to check all of that out. But I also want to give a shout out to John Markish, the real 2K insider. His video breakdowns basically on a daily basis for the most part of the NBA have been great. Gives a better understanding of how it translates the NBA action that you're seeing on the floor into the 2K game. In my opinion, just my own personal opinion, that helps keep 2K accountable because at that point, you can look at what he's showing you as far as player performances and just what 2K is doing. So if you couple those things with John's videos, the Real 2K Insider, he has the YouTube page. I'll link both him and Mohamad's website and obviously John's YouTube channel, but in the description. But if you link those two together, if you take 2kwiz.app and take those rating differentials and then you go to John's videos and see the breakdowns, you can kind of get an idea of what 2K is doing and not doing as far as the roster updates go. And that's not to slam 2K at all. That's not what this video is about. This is just to give a better understanding of under the hood changes that 2K is making for the updates, because there are a lot of roster makers that want to utilize the official rosters, but then make their own changes, and some that have already started with rosters that want to take those rosters and make the official changes in them if they've already made accessory updates and things like that. So obviously you can copy and import and export the player ratings and stuff like that, and you don't have to do it individually. But this gives you a better understanding of just what's being changed. So, first things first, I'm going to go by the biggest differentials. Two players got a -4. That was the biggest drop for players across the board in the update. Both Ace Bailey of the Utah Jazz and Cameron Johnson of the Denver Nuggets. So I'm going to drop into Ace Bailey and show off. So he got a -6 in layup, got -8 in his close shot, -9 in his mid range, and -3 in his 3-pointer. Then you go over to the biggest changes in the entire update as far as ratings. What's changed the most is shot IQ. He dropped -5 there. He has a ball handling drop of -3. And then you get offensive consistency. Across the board for players, this is the most. This and shot IQ and intangibles are the rating that gets changed the most out of anything else in the 2K official roster. Offensive consistency is basically changed for almost every single player that got a rating update. They either drop minus 10, minus 15, minus 5, 25, a lot of those larger numbers. And then you skip over to the intangibles rating, as we know, which is the modifier that 2K uses with Ace Bailey. He actually did not have his intangibles changed because they were already low enough. But for a lot of players like Cam Johnson, for example, to get his -4, he dropped -10 in intangibles. So if you've watched the Real 2K Insiders videos enough, you know he put together a scale that basically goes 99 for guys that he can't quite get, up to par based on, where the ratings are with 2K, or it's a quick rating update to get a guy adjusted if there's, peak performance and you got to take a later dive into it. Or you've got like starters at an 80, bench players at a 70, out of rotation guys 60, and then the G League guys at a 50. 2K kind of adopted that system to make it kind of their own way that they were doing things, but then they abandoned that because they use the intangibles as a modifier more than anything else. So going back to shot IQ and offensive consistency, like I said, those are the most changed attributes across the board. If you see a guy drop in rating, that's why those two specifically are getting dropped. For guards, they dropped a bunch of pass ratings, accuracy and IQ, not as much as pass vision. Some guys were getting like a minus 35 for pass vision and things like that. So, it's just interesting. So, like Cam Johnson literally dropped a minus 35 in pass vision to a 32. So, you mean to tell me a small forward is going to drop to a 32? Like, that's a little bit much. I think 2K may want to re-examine some of the stark contrasts in changing things that drastically, especially when it comes to positions. They may want to reevaluate the two guard, small forward ranges as far as those overlap as well. John talked about that in a couple of his videos, that they should at least be in that same realm because they're both wing positions that basically play the same kind of role in today's NBA. So that might be something that they consider. So then you go over to some questionable decisions with where like 2K's mind is at as far as ratings. Like Trendon Watford, for example, like obviously good player, heck of a role. He is a more of a kind of a hybrid big because he can bring the ball up, he can pass, things like that. Obviously, you see the secondary position at point guard, right? So he's got 70 vision, he's got 62 pass IQ, and then 59 pass accuracy. Those kind of need to be raised along with speed with ball, like ball handling at a 50, and he's a backup point guard. Like those are the things that we like really need to kind of be effectively updated. Like Adem Bona didn't even get a ratings update, but then Trendon Watford did, and Bona has started games for them, things like that. You don't get a drop. Like nothing for Quentin Grimes, who's been great off the bench. We get nothing for Jabari Walker. Like these are the things that don't make sense. But then you go to Golden State and damn near the whole the whole roster has changed. So at that point, you have to look at really diving into the entire roster and just what you're looking at data wise. Like, let's go over to Golden State because John brought this up in one of my comments, and then he brought it up in his video this morning. And that's kind of what triggered this video for me, was just examining individual ratings, what changed, and things like that. And it got me curious because Will Richard is a rookie for the Warriors. So he literally jumps up +7 in this update to a 75. He was a 68 overall, and he jumps up +7 in this one. He basically, to me, it's an overinflation of just what you're supposed to be doing, right? You can't go off of a one game sample size and say, all right, well, we're going to just drastically update this guy. They go +5 in layup. They go +5 in close shot, +1 in the mid range, +4 in 3-pointer. They go +20 in shot IQ. And this is literally off of like one major game where he scored 30 points, and the rest was spot minutes, as he was getting himself comfortable. Like pass accuracy goes +9 for him. Let's jump to some of the more bigger ones. Pass vision +14. Offensive consistency +25. Really, off of one game, that's crazy that you're getting that big of a boost. Pass perception, he goes +25. And then our old friend intangibles goes +30. So I am okay if you had put him at like a 72, 73, maybe at 73 at the highest. But you also gave him 5 badges. That is crazy. Meanwhile, Quentin Post starts, he gets nothing. Like, they drastically dropped Buddy Hield to a 76. So you mean to tell me Buddy Hield is only 1 point better than Will Richard off of one game? That's crazy. Like, you got to know, all right, we got a rookie. He had a breakout game. Everybody's kind of hurt in this game. They're not playing. He had a breakout performance. Let's see if he can do it 2 to 3 games. If he scores 3 games in a row at 30 points, by all means, swap him to a 75. Then it's like, okay, he's here. Like Cedric Coward, I have no issue with them and their rating changed to an 80 for him. He deserves that. He showed it all season. But you can't go off of one big game and then some small sample sizes and drastically jump him to a 75 because it's the Golden State Warriors. Like, at that point, you're playing into there's a bias at the company. And then when people call you out for that bias, it goes ignored. And then everybody gets offended. And it's like, well, we're not going to be on social media anymore, blah, 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 because this is ridiculous. We got to be respectful with comments. Now, I don't agree with slamming 2K and cursing at them, calling them sorry. Like, I'm not going to do that because at this point, the way things are, like, it is what it is. Like, you either agree with the ratings or you don't, but I think from a gamer's perspective, they want as much realism in the ratings as they can get, especially now with the bad system being so overpowered. You can't really look at individual ratings as the end-all be-all, but when you're overinflating guys to a 75, because what's going to happen, unless he kind of falls off and really plays bad, they're not changing this for a while. Because if you've noticed in the past, 2K really doesn't drop guys dramatically unless they absolutely have to drop them. So at that point, you're playing into, well, if he's a 75, if you do an My NBA simulation, he's going to jump up in the rotation just because that's how the ratings stuff works. So when you do that, it throws everything off. So you want to have a realistic view of these ratings, and you need the same as it goes for tendencies and badges as well. I don't really dive into the badges because, number one, I don't track those if you want those, the Real 2K Insider will track those. Most likely, John's probably got a video coming out in a day or two tracking those changes, I'd assume, or the big ones at least. More so, this video is just because it's like, all right, I understand the ratings, I understand what they're trying to do, but at the same time, small sample sizes, let's kind of leave them as they let's kind of creep up in overall rather than just drastically throwing somebody up there off of one performance. Like there's been a lot of one-off performances in the NBA and they don't ever get looked at, but I feel like because it's the Golden State Warriors, it's hard to ignore that is the reason they got changed. Like Cyan James has been great for Charlotte, and he's a 76, but meanwhile, he's played a bunch of games, contributed off the bench, and he's only 1 point higher than Will Richard, who's, like I said, going off of a 30-point game performance. Speaking of other changes as far as ratings go, so obviously Cooper Flagg, it's a nasty offense. Like, really, to be quite honest, I don't know how Nico Harrison's not fired already. Cooper only drops -2 to an 80. Now, that's on par with Cedric Coward, and, you can say what you want. I think Cooper Flagg should have dropped a little more, especially to around, the 78 range, just because he hasn't fared well. He's shot it, under, if I'm not mistaken, he's shooting, under 40%? So I wonder with stuff. So with Cooper specifically, he's now at small forward, so he's going to get more comfortable and things like that. They drop him -8 in his layup, -5 in his close shot, -3 in his three-pointers, -9 in his post hook, -8 in his post fade, -9 in his post control, -8 in draw foul, and then -5 in shot IQ. So those ratings changed. Now, where he did get a legitimate change, -15 in offensive consistency. So they did him right there. But interior defense right here, there's no reason that interior defense should not have changed. That should have dropped dramatically. Same with perimeter defense. That could have dropped down 3 points at least, in my opinion. Help defense could have dropped. Defensive consistency could have dropped. They're slow on dropping Cooper, but then you're extremely fast on drop or increasing Will Richard. Doesn't make sense. He goes -10 in the intangibles. Instead of doing the intangibles change, you could have left it where it was with the +10, and you could have changed. Let's just look at it really quickly. Let's just say I go -75 there for help, 75 for consistency, perimeter defense to an 80, 70 for interior defense. So that drops them to a 79, and that includes the intangibles as well. So, I think his mid-range should drop more also. But if you look at it, that just, literally changed his rating. Now, if you want to drop it down a little more to 70s in these categories, you could. 75 perimeter defense. Let's do 65 for internal. He's a 78 right there. Just by minimizing those things defensively. Because as a rookie, he's just not there. He's not dominating like he did in Duke. So if you're going to change ratings and really do a first ratings update, you don't have to do intangibles. You could take the time to say, okay, defensively looking at the metrics, he's not quite there. The offense stinks. So let's try to get this guy down to a reasonable level. And you can always raise him back up. If he turns it around over the next couple games, you could raise it back up. But don't drastically drop a guy or marginally drop a guy and then drastically increase somebody else off of one game performance when we've seen multiple games where Cooper Flagg's uncomfortable. He can't shoot it well. He gets a couple highlight dunks, but that offense stinks. So he's not able to do very much across the board. That's all I'm saying. Like, that would make sense for them rather than keeping 83 perimeter defense, 81 interior defense, like 82 help defense. You drive on the Mavericks, you're finishing every single time because there's no Anthony Davis, there's no Derek Lively. Gafford's basically out almost every game after he starts it. Like, defensive consistency is terrible. Like, nothing about the Mavericks is great. And I'm quite sure that's by design. That's why I personally think that's why they gave Jason Kidd the extension. All right, you're going to be our puppet master. We're going to lose games. And we're going to get what we want. We wanted to tank by trading Luka. We didn't know we were going to get the number one pick. It's all a political, game. Basically, the ownership has ties to Vegas. They want to build the arena in Dallas. They got to get the legislation to pass it. If they can't, then guess who's getting a move to Vegas in 2030 or whatever it is if they're underachieving. And what better way to underachieve than, all right, Jason Kidd, we got the number one pick. Let's throw him out there at point guard. That way we can lose games because he's not going to be ready if you do that. And so it just makes it look like it's strategic losing rather than purposely tanking. It's just a political strategy. And that's my opinion. That's just kind of where we are with it, and that's what I think. Like, I mean, there's no other way to go around it, like, other than saying, well, we just want to lose games on purpose. Like, it is what it is. Let's go over to Cedric Coward. Since I talked about somebody going down, let's talk about another guy going up. So Cedric Coward, incredible start to his season. What a find for the Memphis Grizzlies. They need it considering how bad they have been. He gets a +6 in his layup rating. And so obviously how they kind of pair things. Let me move. Okay, so +6 for his layup rating, +6 for his close shot as well. He gets +2 on his three-pointer. +5 on his free throw. We go over to ball handling, gets a +4. You get +8 in passing IQ, +8 in pass vision, +20 in offensive consistency, which is now a 70. I agree with that. Defensive rebounding gets +11. Offensive rebounding gets +9. And then it just like, oh, all right, that's cool. Like, we're done. +25 in intangibles. Like, you could have spent so much time going through defensive consistency, checking on that, looking at other things. And then if you need to modify, you can with the intangibles. But unfortunately, that's not the case. Ja Morant somehow is an 89 with still having a 96 driving dunk. There's no way in hell that Ja Morant still dunks at a 96. Like, let's just take Ja Morant down. Let's put him at 75. Let's do that as a realistic rate. Like, he could still dunk, but he's not powering his dunks, things like that. He's not drawing fouls as much, so let's drop that to an 80. I don't know what they're thinking with 90 offensive consistency. He's been awful, especially shooting the ball. So let's do 80 for that. Actually, we'll do 85 just to be fair. So 85, but you got him at a 74-3 and an 88 mid-range with an 88 close. Have you watched Ja Morant this year? Ja Morant literally would be at like a 68 on a three because he's shooting like under 10%, I think, overall. Like, dropping these ratings are crucial. Like, because if he's not shooting it well, you have to replicate that. But then what you choose to change for Ja Morant in this case, and I'll look at his individual ratings, you go -2 for layup, -2, only -2 on his 3-point shot, -10 on shot IQ, and we got to go all the way over. We get -3 on defensive rebounding, -5 on offensive rebounding, -10 on steals, -5 on offensive consistency, and his passing actually went down, -3 and -4 for accuracy and IQ, and that's it for Ja Morant. Like, Ja Morant's been awful, and you have him on the same level as a Tyrese Maxey, and you actually have him, like, it doesn't make sense to me whatsoever. Like, I'm going to double check myself just to make sure I'm correct. You have Trae Young in an 88 underneath him. Trae Young has not been as bad as Ja Morant has. If you're going to do 88 for Trae, you got to do 88 for Ja. Like, and even with that, I would say Ja is like more like an 86 at this point. Ja has been terrible. And I'm not using that just to pick on Ja Morant. It's just those are the drastic differences. You have Ja Morant on the same level as Tyrese Maxey, and Maxey is sitting there carrying the 76ers. Embiid at a 90 over Maxey is crazy. You know, you're still looking at Embiid here with all these like hook, fade, and post control at like upper echelon MVP number. Offensive consistency at a 95. He plays 20 minutes a game. Like, perimeter defense at a 68. The dude can't move at all. What are we doing? Help defense at an 83? You drive on Embiid now? He can rotate, but he ain't going to move and get to you. Like, it doesn't make sense. But then you drop his intangibles down. And you say, all right, we're good. Like, that's what we're doing in these updates. A -10 there. Like, they changed his agility -10. They took down his speed -9. But you really have to take down perimeter defense. You've got to look at his post moves and drop those down to at least, like, 90 or lower at that point. That's -6 for each of those. Like, let's take, for example, let's see if I go to help defense to a 75. Defensive consistency to a 75. Let's do perimeter defense to a 60. Interior defense to an 80. Offensive consistency to a 90. I don't know why his passing ratings are still that inflated, but okay. Let's do 90 for each of these. That's an 88 right there. 88. That's a respectable number for him. 88 for Embiid is a good number for him based on where he is with his performance at this point in his career. And an 88 actually drops him below Maxey and is a respectable number. Like, it's just common sense. Like, I would have increased the pass vision slightly for Maxey, who's been getting more involved in the offense. I don't know why he has 44 strength. He only has 70 intangible. If you're going to use intangibles, change it now. He's a starter, and he's going to be an all-star. So change it, like, just by going in and actually using your modified intangibles, like bumping that up plus 10 to an 80, bumping his strength up to a 50. Let's look at what else. Let's do an 80 there. And then let's do 82 there. That's a 90. Literally, that is a 90. Shot IQ at an 85, that can go to a 90. So that would have done it right there. Like, and that's a 90 overall. And you could drop Embiid and be better off. Like, next update, Jared McCain's going to have to go down. Like, you didn't touch Andre Drummond, who's not been great. You don't touch Kyle Lowry. What universe is Kyle Lowry a 75? Lowry is fucking a part-time announcer for what, Amazon? He doesn't even play. But then you don't touch Adeem Bona at all, despite him starting games. He's literally with like a 55 post hook, 42 post fade. Like, his interior defense is only a 70, although he's a shot blocker. Like, so you have interior defense at a 70, but then you have a shot blocking at a 91. That doesn't make sense. Defensive consistency at a 60. Like, give me a break. Help defense at a 72. Like, these don't make any sense to me. Strength 73. Like, you can bump his intangibles up to a 70. At least get him to a 76. That would put him at Drummond's level because he's going to play over Drummond. Like, but then you go down and you touch Trendon Watford, but you don't touch Bona, Barlow, Walker, any of those guys. Kyle Lowry, like I said, needed to go down. Edwards needed to go down. Like, pay attention. You know, and that's the thing. You can change the stars all you want to. The biggest gripe I have is the middling players that are in the rotation that especially need love on defense, athleticism, things like that. Stop updating just intangibles and offensive consistency or shot IQ. Like, at that point, that's why there's criticism out there if you're changing just those ratings. I just want things to be more streamlined across the board. And I get that you cannot watch every single game, but you can put together an API, I guess is what you call it, where you can do automatic updates based on calculating stats. Okay, if this person is at 43% field goal percentage or, you know, whatever counting stat you want as far as differential to input on defense, whether it's like this person gets this many deflections or this person gets this many on-ball steals, whatever, you can break those formulas down in an Excel sheet and then have it spit out an automatic rating, and then you're just taking that rating and putting it in, if that's the case. You can do those automatic scripts where it writes it for you and you can have the outcome and just input that stuff into a spreadsheet. It's all spreadsheet work anyway. Why not utilize it at that point to fit the scales that you come up with that would better utilize the wider range of mid-tier guys, whether it's higher, like low-level starters, high-level bench guys around the 80s, you know, or high 70s, and then fit it accordingly from there. But those are just some examples that I wanted to show. I didn't want to make this a crazy long video or bash 2K video. And please, in the comments, don't like dismantle 2K. I just wanted to bring it to attention that those are the ratings getting changed. Shot IQ, tons of layup ratings. You have offensive consistency and intangibles. Those are what gets changed the most. So if you're looking to make manual changes, that is what you could do. Go over to 2kwiz.app. You can look individually by teams and see all of the changes as you scroll through. There's differentials with the up and down arrows, green and red, that show who went up, who went down, and just what was changed throughout. So every update that comes out, you can look for that to be updated on 2kwiz.app. Thanks, everybody, for watching this video. please give me the thumbs up, like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'm anticipating the city jerseys coming out around Tuesday, so I hope we have a roster update for that. I will dive through those city jerseys for you in a video. But until the next one, thanks everybody. Stay safe and take care.